Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. This is Jeremiah D. I'm excited to give you a quick preview of one of the really exciting things that we have coming very soon to the updated 153greatfish.com website. In it, we are going to be discussing, providing material, content, support for leaders in churches all over the world to help you create a redundant, resilient church model in this COVID-19 era that we are all living in. So let's take a quick look at what's coming up. What's become very clear in the last few days is that Lockdown 2.0 is coming soon, and in fact is already here in some states. California, Pennsylvania, they've announced rolling back of measures that are going to start restricting and probably the wholesale elimination of church gatherings, much like we just went through earlier this year. So the question is, why is this happening again? Why is God allowing this to happen for a second time around? Did we really learn what He wanted us to learn through the phased lockdowns and limitations on gatherings and keeping people out of the church building? We had a couple months of reprieve. I think a lot of people were hopeful that we would just get right back to the way things were. We're so excited to be back in church, and as we were as well. Except we were concerned, and I think there are others that are seeing that we may not have used this time to proactively prepare for the next lockdown, and it will come again. God was giving us a practice round, a wake-up call the first time, and already we're going to have to figure out how we're going to apply what we learned and ultimately determine, is this corporate-only model that we have been so attached to and become so comfortable with, is that going to be able to withstand what's going to come in these end times? In order to do that, we're going to have to really stretch our imagination, so to speak, and stretch the things that we have come to sort of put as traditions and things that have worked for many, many years and have done amazing things. And it's very, very not to discount or disregard what has happened with the corporate model. But we are entering a new era. We're in a new era. And we are going to need to empower and entrust many more leaders than we ever have before. And then work with them in a time when we may not even be able to see them personally for a long period of time. And so can we do that? Are we going to let go of the old ways and embrace and trust people that they may not be perfect, they're going to make mistakes, but we can do things, and we're going to set up a way and show you a way of how you can have both, that you can have the gathering of the larger groups, but also making sure that we are setting up a redundant network of people that are going to be able to continue to grow and feed themselves when they're not able to get to the corporate body because of government restrictions or other things that are going to come our way. And that's really what it's about. We can combine the not forsaking the assembling of ourselves with breaking of bread from house to house. So the foundation that we're building upon, of course, is Christ and the Bible. But in it, we are going to see, and we're going to show you, the examples that Jesus gave us and what the apostles were ultimately encouraged and in some cases forced to do in order to create a redundant church model. So we have an example here, and the question is, which network is more redundant? If you were to have all 120 people in one place versus 120 people spread out in 12 places. Of course, there's benefits to both, and we see examples in the Bible of where we had both cases happening, and God will use both cases. But in today's world, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that I have a single person with COVID-19, and that single person decides that they are going to go to church, right, with this group of 120 people in one place. Well, all of a sudden, you've got an outbreak. You've got potentially up to 120 people that could be infected or could be contaminated by whatever this is that has entered in. And that is happening right now. All churches, including my church, is having to deal with situations like this. It's just the reality of the time that we're in. Contrast this to what is possible, or what could be possible, if we had set up a more resilient and more redundant network. Say, take those same 120 people, spread them out in 12 places, and then if you had that same person, that was infected, and they happen to go into one of these smaller groups, at most you're going to infect 10 people. And you still have 110 people in those other different locations, dispersed locations, so to speak, that are not going to be infected. And they're going to be able to continue doing what they do. And you're probably not going to have the health department come in and try to shut you down. So look for the updates both here on the YouTube channel and at the website 153greatfish.com. We are so excited. We're going to have a lot of great fish and great fishers of men who are going to be sharing with what God's impressed them and what they are implementing in their local assemblies and in regional areas, both here in North America and around the world. We look forward to working with you all on this and are, again, very excited for what the Lord's doing in this ministry and in yours. God bless, and hope to see you here again soon at 153greatfish.com.